Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another brand new Mattel Jurassic World Rebirth release, as we've got the Aerial Ambush Quetzalcoatlus, and I'm very excited about this one. It looks like it definitely has the potential to be one of the best figures from the new Rebirth line as a whole. You can see the packaging looks pretty cool. One thing I really do quite like about it is you can see kind of like the cliffside back there, which is so far from the trailers where we've seen the Quetzalcoatlus, so that's pretty fun. Other than that, it looks pretty standard, except a really cool image of the Quetzalcoatlus down here in the bottom right hand side. And then if you turn it around and take a look at the back, you can see the Quetzalcoatlus soaring wonderfully here through the sky, as well as some different images basically showing off some of the action features. So let's go ahead, pop this box open and check it out. So there is our Quetzalcoatlus, and I will say the standing thing looks super cool, but doesn't work that well on mine. Every time I bend the wings in, they tend to pop back out on their own without me even pushing the button. I don't know if that's going to be an issue that's limited to just mine, or if that's, something that might be widespread. But as you can see, I can get it to stand, so that's a plus. But overall, this thing is gorgeous. It is absolutely the best Quetzalcoatlus to come from Mattel so far, in my opinion. Definitely a really nice looking figure, sculpt-wise and paint-wise. So we are going to go ahead and move the camera in here, and as soon as I touch this, oh look at, now it's going to make a liar out of me. Now the wings aren't going to pop back out, so we'll just go ahead and just do that. So as you can see, you push this button on the back, and the wings just extend out now into a soaring visual for the Quetzalcoatlus. But I think I'm actually going to push this one back down for right now, just to get a closer look. So when you get nice and close, you can see the head sculpt does look really quite nice. The detail is slightly muted in the beak, I would say, but not too bad. I really like this lighter tone of color that appears, and very smoothly transitions back and forth through the beak. We do also have like some orangish tones up here on this upper part of the beak that pop up and just kind of spot through. They look okay, not super impressive, but not too bad either. We can see the nostrils sculpted out. As we move back closer to the face, the texturing really does start to pick up quite nicely though, especially as you move back into the eye socket area. I really like that little reddish tone that we have there circling around the eye. Then you have a yellow and a black pupil, and then of course a black for the majority of the face of the pterosaur. We do have an articulated jaw. As you can see, once you open the mouth, we have the tongue sculpted out in there, looking really quite nice, very nicely textured. There's also a gloss coat in there and a pinkish tone for the inside of the mouth. If we turn the pterosaur and look at the inside, well, if we look at the inside on the upper side, if I can grab the jaw again, you can see that the, man, it's killing me. The inside of the mouth on the upper side really doesn't have a whole lot going on. No coloration, just the black tone. So not super flashy. We really had to work for that random little shot in there. As you move back into the neck of the pterosaur, you can see kind of like some almost like feathers up here on the top of the head. Or maybe those are just really large pycnofibers, I'm not too sure, but moving down into the side of the body, you can see that our Quetzalcoatlus does actually have quite the look of pycnofibers throughout the body. We also picked this light gray striping effect up here as you move down, and you can see it moves along the back of the neck, but then ends up down here on the underside in the throat. There's also a really nice reddish tone right here in the throat as well that very briefly shows up and then disappears. You do have some pretty fun articulation right here in this area. You have a little left and right. Mine doesn't turn all the way, but you do have really nice mobility up and down. So you've got that perfect soaring pose, and then when you get it standing, you can put the head down so that it now looks more comfortable in a standing position. As we move down into the body of the pterosaur, you can see again all of the pycnofibers leading down. They look really good. You can also see we've got another, actually we'll go to the side, another spot of articulation right here, which does go up and down. There's not a whole lot of mobility, and if there is more than that, then mine is just really stiff, because that's pretty much all I'm getting from this vantage point. Yeah, it looks like, I don't think it's going to go down much further, if at all. So no, not really any more than that. A little extra articulation, but not super impressive. But as you move down into the body, again, you can see some scruffier pycnofibers up here at the bottom of the neck, but they start to taper off kind of to a smaller look to the pycnofibers leading down. We also have the buttons here for the action features as you lead down. As we lead out into the wings, we can see the pycnofibers following along the wings here on the arm part of the pterosaur. pterosaur. And then leading down into the hands, you can see the hands look really nice. The fingers do as well. And the nails are nicely sculpted, but you can't really tell if they're unpainted or not because the figure is black, so it kind of looks like they are, I guess. But surprisingly, you can see there is actually some articulation just forward and back right there, and you can swivel, so that's really nice, and that of course helps when it comes to posing it in the standing position. And then you can see we lead all the way out. There's also a little separation right here because that's the joint where you would stand your Quetzalcoatlus up. Another thing that's really cool about this is very similar to the old Kenner pterosaurs. We have like a fabric down here, and this is the first time we've had this sort of thing going on for one of the Quetzalcoatlus figures. And you can see again it does allow them to give us a really cool visual with some bluish tones as well as a darker tone running along the lower part of the wing, and then all of these kind of black squiggly lines throughout this very cool patterning. And you see that over here on the opposing wing as well, which does look really nice. As we move back here, we can see the tail. I don't know if there's any articulation in the tail. No, it doesn't seem like it, but there is articulation in the legs, which is nice, so you can go forward and back pretty nicely throughout the legs. And you do actually have ankle articulation that my camera's not focusing on, so as you can see, you can go forward and back with the ankle, and of course swivel, which is really nice. As you move down, you can see, if my camera would stop losing focus, the pycno fibers leading down. Kind of get a sense of the musculature of the pterosaur, especially right there in the calf as well. Some skin there leading off of the back of the leg. And one thing that's really nice about the feet is we can see the nails do have a very nice gloss coat to them, so they shine and look quite realistic. I wish they would have done that a little bit better on the claws up there on the wings, but it is what it is. And then of course you're going to see pretty much the same thing over here. Again, forward and back articulation, same deal with the ankle. Again, can swivel. If you look here at the underside of the pterosaur, we can see the sound area as well as the battery compartment, which is to be expected. You can also still see the patterning through the wings, but we can see that it's a little bit lighter down here. You don't see it as obviously, and that's because the patterning is actually on the upper side, but because it is a nice fabric, you can still see it through, which is nice because again, it gives it the look of having color on both sides. But past that point, again, everything looks pretty darn cool down here. I thought I saw the fax app code somewhere. Where the heck was that hiding? Oh, there it is on the inside of the leg. So if you guys want to go ahead and add that one to your collection, there you go. But it is definitely a very cool Quetzalcoatlus. And we're going to go ahead and bend the wings back down and hope they stay. Now here we go. See, it's giving me problems again. So that wing does not want to go back down. But there is another action feature on top of, again, the wings popping out, which we'll go ahead and do that again. You can see how the wings just fly right out there and are now in a soaring position. This one stays fine. It's this other one that just gives me a problem. See, it just always pops back out. Yeah, it doesn't really like to stay. But there is also a button here to activate a chomping action feature as well as some sounds. They're definitely really nice noises, very cool sounding noises. So we're going to go ahead and try to get the pterosaur to stand again, if we can. Temporarily. Oh, right on its face. I was about to say temporarily, and then it just threw its wings back out again. So clearly this wing is going to be a problem for this pterosaur. Are you going to stay? For the time being, it looks like it is. So as far as a size goes, we're going to try to get a height for it standing to the top of the head. You were looking at about 9 3/4 inches or around 25 centimeters. You can, of course, make it a little bit taller. Now it threw its wings back out again, but let's go ahead and reposition it back down. You can get the head up. Well, now it stood okay. The head up so that you can get a really nice height to the tip of the beak, which is at about 12 inches or 30.5 centimeters. Now, if we bring the camera back down again and we check out the wingspan for the pterosaur, which should be pretty sizable, you are looking at, if we go way over there from one wing to the other, about, I would say right around 23 3/4 inches or a little over 60 centimeters, maybe 60.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, There is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A Human Being next to our new Mattel Jurassic World Rebirth Quetzalcoatlus, and you can see again, it's definitely quite large and is by far the largest Quetzalcoatlus that we have had from Mattel so far. And for more comparisons to help show you that, here is one of the Wild Roar Pteranodon, and as you can see, the Pteranodon is nowhere near the size of the Quetzalcoatlus, but I think the best way I can show off comparisons with pterosaurs is probably to go ahead and just lay the wings out so that I can put the pterosaur on top of the Quetzalcoatlus, or maybe stand it against the wall. Let's go ahead and see what we can do here. So there we go. There's a pretty good comparison of the Quetzalcoatlus next to the Wild Roar or Roarivore, whichever one this one was, Pteranodon, just to give you an idea of the size between these two. Next, we have the very first version of the Quetzalcoatlus from Mattel, and as you can see, the new Rebirth version is significantly larger than that Quetzalcoatlus as well. And then we also, of course, have the Jurassic World Dominion version of the Quetzalcoatlus next to the new Rebirth version. And you can see that this Rebirth version is obviously way larger than any of the others, but is also just a massive improvement over any of the previously released Quetzalcoatlus, especially when it comes to that gorgeous wingspan. And just in case you want a side-by-side comparison with the two Quetzalcoatlus laying next to each other, you can, again, get a pretty good feel for the fact that the Rebirth version is a lot larger. And of course, the same comparison with the original Quetzalcoatlus from Mattel here, next to the Rebirth Quetzalcoatlus, showing that again, this new version is a lot larger. So this brand new Mattel Jurassic World Rebirth Quetzalcoatlus is a very nice figure, and far and away, in my opinion, the best one that they have released so far. Sculpt-wise, it is absolutely gorgeous. I love all the fine detail, all the pycno fibers throughout the course of the entire body. I love that they show little bits of difference here and there between the different areas of the pycno fibers as well, and just in general, I feel like they've really quite captured the likeness of the version we see on screen, to the best of my knowledge anyway, here in toy form, which is really, really nice. The coloration of this as well is fantastic. It is one of the nicest painted Mattel figures I think I've seen in quite some time, including quite a bit of color variation throughout, as well as, of course, those fabric wings are just a great touch. I really love that part of the figure. Again, it just looks so much flashier now, having all that color out on the wings, which there's not really a lot of color, but there's a good bit of patterning and stuff throughout, which does give it a really flashy look. The increased wingspan is also a massive plus. There's tons of articulation on this one compared to the previous releases of the Quetzalcoatlus, which is a great thing, again, with like wrist articulation and ankle articulation and stuff like that. And of course, impressive articulation in the middle of the wings, which does allow you to stand the Quetzalcoatlus up. It's unfortunate that mine doesn't really work too well, but I can't see that being an issue with everyone's. So once I grab another one, I'll just have to go ahead and again try that again, see if it works on my newer one. But regardless, again, this is a very nice figure, nice action features, nice sculpt, nice paint. Everything about this is really well done, and it's also quite a bit larger than any of the previous versions. So if you are interested in this, I will include a link in the description to where you can purchase it on Walmart.com right now. So check that link, go pick this up, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.